Preface. The pains of growing up LGBT are shared by millions. Many of the stories are the same, while some are more horrendous than others. One thing we all share is the freedom to love and be loved. Drug problems, disease, promiscuity, and suicide are symptoms of homophobia. When a child is told by adults there is no one to turn to for who they are, they can easily self-destruct. When writing this novel, I wanted to capture the reasons so many people have fallen victims to these issues. I wanted to understand some of the horrific experiences I grew to witness and help others find a way to not live the same mistakes and grow strong. Though fiction, this novel captures many of the experiences I witnessed in life. Through tears and through This Shadow Follows Me, I believe many people will learn valuable lessons and learn how to understand each other. Chapter 1, A Piece of My Heart. An ominous silence fills this room. My ex-lover's tears no longer drain from his dreary eyes, and as I remember his respiration slowly coming to a relentless halt, I begin to realize that I am nearly alone in this room. I begin to caress Troy's cheek, touching him ever so softly. The golden glow that once radiated from his shining smile is no longer present. This life we once shared, the life we had, and the life we could have had together, it's all ending. My memories flash to a picture I saw of him when he was a small boy. He was all of 3 or 4, wearing his John Wayne cowboy hat and big boy plastic training pants, leather gun holster on his hip, and little man cowboy boots. He stood next to his mommy. In one hand he held his silver pistol, and spread across his face was the largest smile that innocence could ever hope to give. Frustrated and alone, I began to say to myself, I wasted time, I caused this. A figure walks into the room with the blurry brightness of the setting sun. I do not acknowledge his presence. As the body passes by me, I begin to think the San Francisco hospital bed reeks of cologne to hide the draining machines that moves out of his dead body. Tears of rage flood into my eyes, demanding control. Would you please leave, I say to the creature that is looking into my swollen eyes. His heartbeat is gone and his breathing has stopped, he replies. Those are just readings. I reach for Troy's hand and smile as though I am able to feel him once more. Would you like me to close the blinds? The narrow voice sparks. I smile and look up. Yes, do close the blinds. I realize this person, this figure in front of me, is Troy's nurse. What a tall man. He moves over to the window and closes the blinds. I try to get a good look at him as he moves closer to me. He is stunningly handsome, with short brown hair, hazel eyes, very clean shaven, beautiful skin, fairly muscular arms, but he means nothing to me. The beautiful and meaningless one places his hands on my shoulder and utters, I am deeply sorry for what your family is going through, Mr. Andrews. Is there anything I can do for you? My breath is halted, like grasping for air after crying far too long and too hard. It is like a hiccup or a shivering sharpness of nerves. It is like icicles running down your spine or aluminum in your mouth. An eerie amount of emotions that cannot compare to the actual feelings you've just managed to live through. I just watched you die, I say to myself silently. I want to answer his question, but instead I thank him and for his kindness and mutter, I don't need anything. I look at Troy's dead body in sorrow. How cold he looks behind those piercing eyes. The hazel-eyed nurse walks out of the room. I whisper in Troy's ear, you're dead, babe. I can't believe you can't hear me right now. I can't believe you don't even know I'm here with you. I have cried all these tears I can. Troy, it has been years since I've cried for you, and the last time you made me cry was because you were leaving me, and now here you are at it again. I'm sorry things could not work out differently. I'm sorry for so much. I'm sorry we broke up years ago, and I'm sorry I never came back to you. I was just scared. Just so scared of your illness, and yes, I admit it, I was. But now look at me. Now, honey, I'm sick with this regret. I take a deep look into his face, trying to etch the moment in a corner of my memory so that I will never forget this moment. I hold him in my eyes, in my mind's eye, and stare, never wanting to let go. I cannot forget you. I would surely lose you. I walk away slowly, trying not to lose touch of his face. It is then I realize and speak aloud, "That is not your face, Troy. It does not even look like you." And what am I thinking? It is you. It is just your body dying and not who you are, who you've been. I turn my head, facing my eyes down towards the godly tiled floor, and grasp the curtain that covers the doorway, as though I just want to escape. I leave the room and walk down the hall. There have been so many regrets. I am so frustrated, so angry. What did I expect to find here with you, Troy? I mutter under my breath, not loud enough for them to throw me into a psych ward. I want a cigarette. Right now, this is all I want to do. I don't want to deal with this. I never knew these feelings would come up like this. I think of myself as I hear Troy's nurse calling to me. I just keep walking and say aloud, "I want a cigarette, damn it." I finally reach the elevator, and on the wall, a mirror stares at me as I take out that beautiful Marlboro Red and put my head in my hands. I stare helplessly into the cold reflection. I cannot turn away. I feel as though I must just look at myself, no matter how much I dislike myself right now. An image of me stares at me in reverse, but before it can blink or cast a menacing glare, the mirror turns black and the elevator doors open. Outside, I walk down to a short corridor, past the reception desk and the gift shop with its pointless get well nail art balloons, and out of the main entrance doors. The second the fresh air hits my face, I ignite that Marlboro. I look to the ground and I realize I am not the first on such a quest. I am surrounded by cigarette butts. So many others stood there before me. Some are on their cell phones, others are tucked away in nooks and with the same glare of sadness on their faces. I look to the left and see where could have stood a mother and her 2 teenage children trying to deal with a car accident that took her husband and their father. There are old people, young people, and people in hospital gowns, some laughing and others are crying, and still others caught in that limbo of just not knowing what would be appropriate right now. I begin to ask myself, is this my hell? As the nicotine begins to mingle my lungs, I calm. I know I need to go back up there. I check my cell phone for messages, 13 missed calls from him. I turn my phone off and put it back in my pocket. I flick my cigarette on the ground to the graveyard of butts, abruptly shudder, compose myself, and walk with lead feet into the hospital. Back into the hospital room, I slip into the chair next to Troy and begin to speak. I want so much to have closure with you. I want to explain why things had to turn out this way. Troy, it is all too wrong how things happen so different than you expect them to. It is all too tragic how life is wonderful and horrible at the same time. God, I hope there is a heaven because I want to see you again. There is so much I need to tell you, so much I should have told you. Holding on to some glimpse that this is not really happening, I begin to shed tears and compose my emotions and touch Troy's fingers. Troy, I want to tell you about a boy I used to know. He wanted so much from life. I know I should have told you more when you were well, but for some reason it is much easier to tell you now. I think about my past, the loves that have touched my heart, as well as my hate. There were the ones I let walk over me and the ones that held me on their shoulders so I didn't have to walk at all. You and all of them made me who I am. Tears gush from my eyes, hurting and taking my breath away. I speak slowly as I continue, but for some reason I want you to know all about me. Maybe somehow, since you are gone now, I feel you are seeing the truth in me. Maybe you can give me some hope. I don't want to rush this. Troy, I hope these stories I tell you can help me feel better. I glimpse at his cold, motionless face and laugh inside. Okay, babe. So where should I begin?